Good afternoon, Atlanta United family, and welcome to another episode of Resurge the Spike ATL. I don't know why that sounded kind of weird. I'm sorry, guys. Hmm. Uh, First of all, uh, if you have not yet subscribed, go subscribe. FILA Sports Podcast. There you can see all of our platforms. You know, down there, this description on YouTube. Uh, so let me get to what decision day turned out to be for the MLS. Um, Atlanta United, ended up clinching their playoff spot. Um, Hello, Joshua Simmons. Um, so Atlanta United ended up clinching the fifth seed and will be going up to the New York Yankee Stadium. So let me pull up the table real quick, guys. I'm sorry, I'm kind of slow on this. So, um, there was actually no really like big movements, in the Eastern Conference. We had Nashville, which were pretty much second place throughout the whole regular season. They ended up going down to um being the third seed, and Philly ended up being second. So that's pretty much the biggest move in the table that there was. We had Orlando beat Montreal today 2-0 away. So now Orlando's sitting in six, and they'll be going up to Nashville. So that's gonna be an interesting match. Joshua Simmons over here says, "What's your biggest worry heading into the playoffs?" If I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of worries. Honestly, it's not just one. Specifically with how the team played the first 45 minutes today, and not only today but like the past two games. This is actually, I haven't done any shows in the past 2 weeks, so I haven't talked about the Toronto match or the New York game, which were poor performances. I mean, in my opinion, I was there for the Toronto game, and in my opinion, that was a game that it should have been 4 or 5 and for Atlanta, but it wasn't that way. Um, but with the pressing that New York Red Bulls had midweek, that's something that Pineda really had like a struggle. The team, there was no response throughout basically the whole 90 minutes. So going up to New York, I don't know. Whether if a team goes and starts pressing Atlanta from the very first beginning, from the and like a high press, we saw Cincinnati doing that the first 45 minutes. So that's my biggest worry, that Atlanta United is not the team that starts off in the front foot, and is basically sitting back or just trying to rely on like individual efforts. Which earlier on Twitter, I said, not even today, Barco, he's kind of slowed down. I don't know, like his decision making hasn't been right. There's just been some transitions going forward where he's just hasn't made the right pass, the right decision. And that's where he needs to start, show that he's that player that wants to go to Europe, that is Europe type of level. um George Bello is another one I've also pointed out throughout the season when it comes to him finishing in the box. He could easily have a minimum of 5 goals this season, easily, but the man can just not finish. I don't know why. If he would be able to finish, I mean, we'll be talking about like the next Alfonso Davis coming out of the MLS, but that's not the case. He's got that defensive awareness, and he's able to go up and sometimes give you that final pass. But when it comes to him making that decision whether to shoot for a goal or give that final pass, he just hesitates and just fails, to do. And Joshua Simmons is here. Ezekiel Barco doesn't look the same without Marcelino. You know, Personally, I see like these guys between Marcelino, Luis Araujo, and uh, Ezekiel Barco. Like they're just trying to dribble through players and create that space. And I get it, they have that ability, but sometimes they just like take advantage of that too much, like way too much, to the point where they draw the defense, but that's when you have to look for the open space for the open man. But they just either dribble right to where the defense is, or back pass, side pass. But you have to look for the open man that is going to take advantage of the space that is being opened up because of the defenders that are being drawn to you. I see it simple, and it seems simple, but obviously once you're there, it's not. But these guys have quality to be able to do that. And I mean, I really hope, from the fan standpoint and from me doing this show and everything, that Atlanta United is actually able to like step it up a gear um when it comes to going up to Yankee Stadium, because they're gonna have to. You got to bring more intensity, you got to bring more creativity, more pressure, more everything, as simple as that. And I mean, we saw a poor performance against the worst team in MLS in the first 45 minutes, and yet again we were able to get a 2-1 result. But it's, in my opinion, that's not enough. That's not Atlanta United caliber type of football. I mean, there's millions and millions of dollars spent in this team to get a 2-1 result against a Cincinnati team that has been eliminated since like 4 months ago. So you have to look at it and evaluate. Like, I said it a bit ago, against Toronto, against the New York Red Bulls, it's been poor. It has been poor from the pressure side, from the finishing side. Hopefully, I feel like a lot of times the finishing, Joseph today, he made a crucial miss, but yet again, he comes 10, 15 minutes later and, scores a freaking world-class volley. So it's where, even guys like Jordan Dam, he came in and he had a good, minutes. He had great minutes, honestly. Mulroney came when he came. I felt like he had a lot of movement. He created a lot of space. So it's a matter of finding, the right moments, like the right players. And I feel like Pineda maybe has learned the hard way, that, well, maybe depending on how he sees it, most likely he's gonna still stick to playing with 3 center backs, especially knowing that he's gonna go up to New York. That's what I feel like personally. Now, if it comes down to a point where you're losing, he's gonna he's gonna do the same thing that he did today against Cincinnati. Go to a line of 4 in the back. But this is against Cincinnati, so we're gonna have to see whether the players are able to adjust to the pressure of having to deal with the playoffs. A lot of these guys have not been able to, honestly. Let's see. The only ones that we could say that have experience in the MLS playoffs is Joseph, Guzan, Miles, uh, Barco, if I'm not mistaken. He's gotten a couple of minutes in 2019. But other than that, all these guys have not, playing in the MLS playoffs, and they're gonna have to step it up. Hopefully by then, Sosa's back, Moreno, and hopefully these guys are able to step it up. Joshua Simmons over here says him play three center backs frustrates me. Yeah, especially against a team like Cincinnati. Like I said, I mean, it's a poor team that you will want to get some goals against. Try to get that momentum going forward, going into the playoffs. But that wasn't the case. Maybe it's the fact that Sosa was missing, and I don't know. Ibarra, in my opinion, has not really been up to to fill that role. Obviously, he doesn't have the same quality that Santiago Sosa does, but in my opinion, he's still lacking, you know, a lot to be able to fill that role. Um, now, with the other results, Philadelphia and New York Red Bulls, they could have, or New York City, I mean, um, they tied 1-1, and if I'm not mistaken, New York City had one less player, or who was the one? I know one of them was the one that had one less player, and it still ended 1-1. So I mean, that's pretty much Philadelphia is gonna, host the New York Red Bulls, which Philadelphia most likely be going through. Um, this is my opinion, honestly. The teams that I see going forward is Philadelphia. They're like I said, they're gonna be hosting New York Red Bulls. Nashville, they're gonna be hosting Orlando. Um, Orlando, has been, going downhill honestly since many months ago. So I don't see them going up to Nashville and getting the win. And New York City against Atlanta. Obviously, I see Atlanta winning that. We have a good record against New York City in the playoffs, but stats are just stats, and that can change any time, honestly. And let's just hope. Honestly, I really hope that you know this team really is able to get things forward, is able to step it up with the attitude. Some of these players are able to step it up and just be able to give it a little bit more effort. Uh, I've said it before with the decision making. It's been honestly a little frustrating, with these players because they've got way more to give, a lot more to give, and you know we look at the results honestly from the past, you know 2-3 months. They have been great. We have been the second best team um after the New England Revolution, I mean, and we could have even been better, but we have been giving up these results, late in the game, late, and we just can't afford to do that in the playoffs. We either we bring it 90 minutes or that's it. You just play those 90 minutes and you go home. There's no home and away. I mean, it's not like a couple of years ago how we had that home and away. Now it's one game and you go home. That's it. So we can't be making those mistakes. So we're thinking that you have mm, time, or you just have to bring it. It's as simple. And there's quality. There's enough quality for this team to do it, but like I said, it just has to. They have to bring more effort, more and more effort into it. Uh, I don't know if any of you guys have any questions on here. Any of you guys that are looking. Um, Overall throughout the regular season, it's been ups and down. Personally, I in the midseason, July, I didn't see this team making the playoffs. Uh, but now they're in the playoffs. Hopefully they're able to make a run. You know, uh, hopefully it's something like how it's been recent. With the Atlanta sports teams. With the Hawks last season, with the Braves. Which congratulations to the Braves as well. For winning the World Series this year, and also, you know, Atlanta. It, it really needs to be, amongst those teams, top teams in MLS. There's way too much investment. You have the top attendance for 5 years already. There's so much, attention in Atlanta when it comes to the soccer that you can't afford them to have them, between the top four teams in all of MLS. There's just Atlanta's. There was some people saying, that uh, I don't know why there's so much high expectations for Atlanta or something like that on Twitter. Is because of the reason, that they're one of the biggest teams in North America. Is that simple. I mean, everything that has happened, in the last 5 years in Atlanta, and what Atlanta United have done, you know, and the disrespect, honestly, that I see a lot of times on Twitter, just because soccer is not that big of a sport here in the States, but yet again, it's the biggest sport in the world. Yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly. The disrespect, that the team gets to a point, and yet again, when everything is going well, and your MLS Cup champions and everything, everybody's celebrating, everything is all good, and it's just ridiculous to me to kind of hate just because the sport is not big to you in your opinion. But I mean, those are personal opinions. That's what I think personally, because I mean, I grew up watching soccer. I just I like sports, but that doesn't mean that just because I don't think that one is less popular, I'm gonna hate on it or something like that. That's people. It's a ridiculous opinion to say, honestly. When it comes to say that Atlanta United is not big, and especially here in the United States. I mean, like I said, it's one of the top three biggest clubs in MLS, and you just have to keep that team like that on top. You have to be on top, and hopefully a playoff run is able to get Atlanta to that point, to where it was in 2017 and even 2018, to where they obviously won MLS Cup. Um, Personally, if it came down to the point where they got to MLS Cup, man, that would be amazing. Honestly, that would be huge, especially after how like I said, this team looked in mid July. And Joshua Simmons over here is saying Brooks Lennon has to start against NYFC. I didn't like what I saw from Ronald Hernandez today. Yeah, Ronald. I don't know. He didn't look. Yeah, he didn't look sharp. In my opinion, yeah, Brooks Lennon, is obviously the starter, in that position. And like I said, even hopefully Santiago Sosa and Marcelino Moreno are back by the time that playoffs start, which there's still 2 weeks until that happens. So we have the first round, which starts November 20, all and November 21 and 23, and Yeah, if Atlanta United obviously advances, then either they'll most likely be playing Sunday, November 28th, or Tuesday, November 30th. That's if they do advance. So there's still a FIFA break in between, which, we have Miles Robinson going to, well, he's actually going to stay there in Cincinnati since that's where the U.S. men's national team is going to be playing Mexico in a couple of days. And also, Ronald Hernandez is the other one that got called up. But we hope they get back safe and everything, and all the other guys that are injured obviously get back in time, like I said. But there's still a lot of things that this team needs to work on. Aggressiveness, finishing. uh, Obviously things have gotten better since the beginning of the regular season. It's been really, like I said earlier on Twitter, it's been a really like a roller coaster, honestly, because there's been games where you see, all right, this Atlanta team is gonna just explode. Those two games back to back, where we played Orlando and Cincinnati at home, and I remember we scored like 7 goals in those two games, and it was just like, all right, you see this Atlanta United team, getting back to it, like grinding things out, playing a good style of football. But when it came down to this last stretch, I don't know what happened. I really don't. It came down to a lack of effort, a lack of attitude. At times, I feel a lack of leadership, and that costs a home playoff game. Uh, we'll see what happens at home, away, which like I said, we have a good record, I guess you could say, in the playoffs against New York City. But yet again, we can't just be drawn into stats and think that everything is gonna stay the same, because everything could easily change. But I definitely see Atlanta have a squad, that could go toe to toe with New York City, but they have to bring the intensity. That's what it comes down to. You gotta want it more. You gotta want to play that extra game, and the game after that. That's what it really comes down to. And Josh Simmons says, hopefully Greg Berhalter doesn't get Miles Robinson injured before the playoffs like he did in 2019. Yeah, that was. I remember Frank de Boer being pretty pissed about that and even pointing that out. But let's hope that that doesn't happen, especially in a crucial time like this. When the playoffs are about to start. And honestly, I would not be surprised if they only play him, against Mexico. But yet again, he's their starter center back, so it's kind of hard to say, all right, you're gonna rotate him, when he's just playing good, and you don't really have somebody else to take his role. But hopefully with everything, there's 2 weeks in between. There's time where Gonzalo, can work things with his team and try to get better, try to pressure from the beginning, try to, know how to work, throughout the 90 minutes. Know if, all right, you have a 2-1 lead, who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to take out? There's certain times where you have to, you know, whether you want to be an offensive team, but you have to know how to manage the team and manage the moments. And at times, we have not seen that with Gonzalo Pineda. He has lacked that, that ability to like learn, not learn, but like able to read the game and, basically know who's coming in, who's coming out, who's gonna, be able to solidify the midfield or the back line, and we have not seen that yet. Hopefully that changes. That change, that we saw him playing with three center backs today, the first half, the first 45, and then he switched to a line of four in the back, which was surprisingly because he's always stuck to the three center backs. So maybe he's learned from how things have been. The past three games have been poor due to the pressure that the other team has, put on Atlanta United. And whether it's from the beginning of the game or in the last minutes, that always have been the issue. Um, Sometimes, the center mid is not able to control that, it's not able to contain it. And, we have teams like basically kicking centers and onto Atlanta's 18, constantly taking shots, and that's not how you want to end a playoff game. Um, especially like I said, you got to know the moments. Whether you're up 1, you're up 2-0, you got to know how to read the moments, and hopefully Gonzalo Pineda has learned, from this regular season. He doesn't have any playoff experience. I mean, we got to remember that. And hopefully he's learned something from how this end of the regular season turned out to be to what, the playoffs are actually going to be, because he knows it himself. He's been in Seattle, a team that, is used to making MLS Cups, like every other year, basically. So he knows what it takes as a team. He just doesn't have the experience, to where he's actually in charge of, doing, or like the whole formation and everything. He's just obviously doesn't have that experience, but hopefully this regular season gave him that knowledge to be able to read those moments. um we'll we'll like to see players like Campbell. um what's this other guy? I forgot. I think number 32, or I think that's Campbell. But guys that are able to close out the game. It's just 90 minutes. That's all you play. Um, if you tie, you go to extra time, and then if not, you go to penalties. But you can't afford to make mistakes that are gonna cost you a goal. Uh, that has been an issue, and it cannot be. It cannot be anymore. Uh, Unless they want early vacation. I mean, by the looks of it, by how they play the last three games, it looks like they want to go home early. Like, seriously, that's what it looks to me. Um, I may sound, like a butt saying it, but it's seriously how it looks like that at times, because you look at it and it's like there's no effort. You look at it and there's like 50-50 balls that Atlanta could easily be winning, but the lack of effort, has been an issue. And if that's the case, I mean, then obviously, you know, that next game against New York is going to be the last 90 minutes we see of Atlanta this season. Hopefully they have a little, competitive hunger to want more, because, we know guys like Joseph, Miles, Guzan, Barco, even if some of them weren't like a huge part of that 2018 run, but they still know what it feels to be a champion, and they want to be there again. A lot of these guys, are here for the first time basically playing in the US, guys like Araujo, um, you know, Georgian Dam, Mateus Rosero, and Alan Franco, which, he has been a huge part, of our defense, honestly, in this last stretch. He doesn't really get the appreciation, honestly, as much as Miles Robinson, because, obviously Miles plays for the U.S. men's national team, but Alan Franco has been pretty solid, honestly, in my opinion. And like I said, a lot of these guys just, gotta want it, gotta want to, you know, be a top club. Uh, if for whatever reason, if it comes down to, that's the last 90 minutes against New York City, uh, I'm not gonna say like it's mission accomplished. Like, we had to do what we had to do, and it was just make the playoffs, especially with how things were mid-season, with how after Heinze got fired and everything. But it's still like, not enough. Like, you feel like, for a team like Atlanta United, uh, I feel like in a way this, in the fan base, like, we ask and we demand so much, but just because of the fact that we know the quality that's on the field, seriously, like, this team could easily, like, if it really comes out playing like on a good day, like, if they really put in effort and they put, like, emphasis into actually playing, I feel like this team could like easily go toe to toe with any team in the MLS right now. But the issue is, are they able to do that the whole 90 minutes or 95 minutes or 120 minutes? That's the issue. That's been the issue since the beginning of this season for Atlanta United. And hopefully, we see the change of momentum um right now into going into the playoffs. But I mean, we still can't take nothing away and say it's been poor, because obviously they did change things around after August, but you just feel like you can give it a little bit more, like there's more. And hopefully, if whatever happens this season, has been a learning experience for this young team. But going into next year, you just cannot, like, seriously, my expectations going into next year, you cannot afford to not be top 3 in the Eastern Conference. It's as simple as that. Like, with the roster you have, whether Barco leaves or Thiago Almada comes in or Miles Robinson ends up leaving, whoever comes in or out, that does not matter. Like, this team could just not afford to not be in the top 3 in the East. Like, you have the roster, you have, the fan base, you have absolutely everything. But you just got to put that effort in the 90 minutes. And um since I haven't done the show since the last time I gave out the last giveaway, I want to give a shout out to Christian. He was the winner of the giveaway of the Franco Escobar jersey that we gave away. I gave that out to him at the last home game last week. And we took a couple pictures, and actually I haven't posted them. I've just been kind of busy, because I've just got back to work and everything. But shout outs to him. I know he was real excited about that. Stay tuned. Hopefully, we'll do something for Christmas. We'll have something else, another giveaway. Uh, Basically everything, has come down to this day for Atlanta, and we're able to clinch the playoff spot. And honestly, let's just hope that the momentum goes forward. Thank you guys for the ones that have been, stayed, like that have been tuned in. Joshua Simmons, I know you have been, pretty active here on the comments. Thank you. If any of you guys share the link or whatever, thank you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Uh, Depending on what day the game is, against New York City, we'll be doing a game either before most likely after the game. Most likely after, once we know the results and once, everything, just so, we can chat again and, get to hopefully see if Atlanta went forward and, made it to the conference semifinals. And thank you guys for the ones that have subscribed already to FILA Sports Podcast. All the guys that, have participated in the giveaways. Not just the people that have been here, just today, but I know a couple other guys from the Twitter group, they have been connected on here as well. Thank you guys. And like I said, we'll do a show after the game, after New York. And thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. FILA Sports Podcast on YouTube. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Spotify. So just look us up, guys, and share, comment, share our content out. And thank you to all you guys. And